Hey everyone, this is Acting here. In this episode, we're going to quickly do what to go through how to tell which die cut is still, which ones are fake, which ones are reproductions, and which ones possibly are made from Japan, and how to tell the old from what you're looking at on those items that you might possibly have. But before we start, what I want you guys to do is this is one of our first videos and stuff. So once we start getting rolling, and like the video and click on follow, and we'll be great. And like I said, this is one of the first videos we're doing. So quickly, we're just going to do this as fast as we can. And we're going to start off with the German die cuts. So the German die cuts around 1919, maybe 1918 to up around 1925 on the German die cuts. And you'll see those on there. And these are really the German on the Halloween stuff. That's going to be the stuff that you guys want. So yeah, so around 1935, it was around 1919 and to 1935, the Germans came on out there. And then once Hitler started coming on in there, and the export to the U.S. just kind of stopped. That's why most of these German items, when you get into the die cuts, the German items are going to be one of those ones that they're going to seek after, and they're going to bring a little bit more money on some of the items as we go on through this. So that's pretty much it about the German items. So we're just going to go over here and start picking the stuff up. I got to be kind of careful on some of the stuff, and we're going to get going on what's coming next. And I should have had her completely on out. So we're going to go into what we've got is the still items. But let me get him out of there too. And we'll take a look at that, and we'll take a look at some reproductions, and we will see how we can go about looking at which ones are real, which ones are not. And let me get that out of the way so we can move on. And I've got some other ones. So the still started around 1920, and maybe a little earlier than that, a couple of years earlier than that, but they did party games and things to start off with. And then what they ended up doing was in around 1919, they started doing the die cuts. And a die cut's one of the reasons why they call it a die cut. Think of a cookie cutter. So when you take the cookie cutter and the die cut is just like a cookie cutter, but it's on paper or cardboard. And when you push down on it, basically it cuts it out around there and then embosses it or does something similar to that with the cookie cutter. So when you're over there looking at die cuts and you go, well, they've made so many reproductions, how can I tell? And so we're just going to get some stuff on out here, and we're going to take him, and here, hopefully you can see that. Let me see. Now I'm going to move since we got some of those larger items on out. And so we're going to take one of these witches, and then we're going to take another one of these witches, and we'll kind of start right there. And so one of these is a reproduction out of all these, and there's only one that I tried to find more. One of these is reproduction. And so how do you tell on some of the reproductions is, okay, well, Beistle did a lot of reproductions, and they did some in the 80s. And how we know that is, and they did some awesome ones. I won't say that these were at all reproductions at the time, but these guys are really cool. So on the mark on the package that these guys came on in, it says 1988. So we knew that they were producing some just. I like those. I like these guys because of the black lights, and they do great with black lights, and they are double-sided. And we're just going to go through this stuff as fast as can, and kind of just teach as we go. So yeah, these guys came in that package from 1988. Awesome things. They're double-sided. You know, the honeycomb. I would think that maybe they were made again or during the production line. But so when we get into their production lines, so they also made these guys, but they made a ton of these different ones and then they reproduced them. They made a ton of these guys. So they made, you know, more of these, and they came in kind of a set. And so what ended up happening was the market ended up getting flooded, and it was like, well, okay, well, you know, people weren't sure of, you know, from the real from the fake because they couldn't tell, and they really didn't know. I just learned this as we were going along. So how do you actually tell on the Beistle die cuts, because they got same markings, you know, right on over there, signed same way, and things, you just flip them on over, and okay, and there's two things: is the reproductions that they did of most of the items is dual-sided. The other thing you look for is one's going to be embossed and the other one's not. So if one's embossed, that's going to be a good sign that it is old. But there's also some other little catchy tricks that can kind of mess you on up. And so in 1919, that's when they started, or 1920, 1919, 1920 is when they started actually producing some of the die cuts. And that's, I know she's 1920, you know, her hats, you know, I'm going to restore her. But that's why some of the Beistle, the older ones that you get, as well as the German ones, the run was just not too many years, and Beistle was still kicking in the 90s, I think, if they're not still around. I'm sure, I think they are, but no idea. I haven't really kept track of them since around, I don't know, 2014 maybe. So we do know that they did, and there's another date on the, let's see what we got here. So what's the date on this? And now they were assembling in New Mexico, but it still had the made in USA. So this is 1987 on the bat, and the bat's hanging on up over there. So, and sometimes the mark is LH Lurs, I think. And that was the son-in-law of Beistle. So when Beistle died, he became basically president of the company. I want to say it's 1940s to like maybe 1953, that you'll see sometimes a marking on the Beistle items, LH Lures. And so we'll take a look at that. So, but we have other items that are Beistle, but they are fakes, and they did a lot of them. And how to tell on these is, well, let's just be simple about it, and then I'll go into detail on how the other ways to tell. Oh, there's another guy up here. So how to tell on these guys? You go, well, okay, how do I tell if they're out of the package? Because on the package it says made in Japan, made in Japan, made in Japan, made in Japan. And you go, okay, well, it's made in Japan. So they're also sometimes marked on the arm, on her arm is made in Japan. On Rocket, she is not marked. And he is marked on the arm too, made in Japan. So what do we do when they're not marked? And we have no marking of and I won't say it. I think from everything that I see, a made in the USA is normally Bastille too. So that's another mark. LA Lures is another mark. There's a lot of markings on just the thing. But what do you do? What do you do if it doesn't have a marking? And how are you going to figure that on out? It's not embossed. This is one of the very sought after. I love her. I didn't know the Japan one sold as much because I was almost about to open her, and so the Japan one's 110 to 150 because and there's also a UFO one that's really cool too. But I don't know, kind of my style. It's made in the 60s. The original Bastille one is, but Japan decided they were going to reproduce her, and which you won't be able to tell, from looking far away. There's no markings on her unless you got right on up and you knew what you were looking for. So how do you tell? It's actually very simple because every one of Bastille's items, I won't say everyone because there's some of them that aren't marked. And the ones that aren't marked, you're going to be able to tell the age on it and things, but most of them are marked, made in the USA. And I want to try to look for this one where it is marked. And this one has a holder for a candle on the back and kind of a stand. And it is not marked, really. You're going to be able to mainly tell on this. Here's another sought after one that they did I think this 1, 2, I think there's 4 of them. And this is one of the 4. They did reproductions, scared the market. And people like, well, the real one, they're scared of, which ones are real and which ones are not. Now, this one says just made in the USA on the side. And so does the reproduction one. But the reproduction one, number 1 is 2-sided. Number 2, it's not embossed. And that's how you really tell, is if it's embossed. But let's go into something else real quick before we end this video, and hopefully it helped you guys on out and what you're looking for. And I want to say around the 80s is when things started actually changing, and they started doing the reproductions and doing double-sided items. So we'll go into some double-sided items and take a look at that, and then we will be done. And hopefully this was a quick video that I did. I want to say in the 60s I did this guy and then reproduced him. Let me get this all on out. That's good. Okay, so here we go. So we're going to do some big items of things. I want to get that ghost on here too. So they did the black cat reproduction on it, and those came in I wish I had it somewhere, but I misplaced it. I've got so much stuff going on. So some of my favorite, and these are mainly all reproductions, but just, and the reason why I like the reproductions on some of the items better than I like the original is because they do a black light much better than the originals, and I'll show you why. And then we got, well, okay, we got this check and one more, and okay, and we got the skeleton guy. He comes all the way on down and everything, and they reproduced him. So, but this was in the 60s. They also did like a life-size one of him. But you take a look on the back. This one is not double-sided. If it's double-sided, it was made in the 80s. I want to say in the 80s. And a lot of these times it was in the school, and they had them, taped. And so you'll see, damage on the tape and stuff because they had these things hung up on the school with just tape, and they'd go on the tape. So the ghost. And so we're going to look at why nice double-sided one, and I'm not sure if they made an old one of this, but this is a Beistle double-sided, and you take a look. Yes, Beistle company, made in the USA, and it's marked right on over there. I thought I was just telling you guys lies. So on the side of him, you'll notice on this side, it's got the glow in the dark thing around him on the side of him, and then you have a flat side. So the glossy side just works much better on the black lights than the other side, than the dull side. And most of them are going to be dull sided. So like the older ones are still going to be dull sided. They're not going to have the glossy look on it. But they're going to go both ways on Beistle when they did the double sided. So they go the non-glossy and then the glossy. And the glossy definitely shines much better than the non-glossy. And so again, we got glossy and then we got the flat. So once again, that's kind of the 101 on how to tell Beistle, Japan made, or whatever, whatever they're going to do. And for the most part, I think most of them are marked some way, made in the USA, or they're marked LA Lures, or they're marked Beistle Company, or all the reproductions are definitely done that. But if you're looking at a double-sided item, you're looking at an item that's not embossed, well, first look, make sure the items, if the item's double-sided and it's not embossed, it's going to be a newer reproduction, which still be vintage. Still, some of them are still even the Japan ones, like the witch on Rocket. It's a cheaper way to go, but still now that it's been some years since it came on out, it's actually rather expensive. So that's how you tell, and there shouldn't be any reason why you should be afraid to actually buy anything that's Beistle and know what you're buying. So hopefully this thing helped you on out. We've got so many other videos that we're going to do the holidays. We're going to do toys. We're going to do anything you can find in the attics. So we're just getting started. Thank you for coming on by. And this is one of our first videos, so sorry if I was just rambling around. Thank you guys for watching, and I will catch you guys on the next video. And before we do that, I want to take one last look at a Beistle item that many people don't know it's Beistle. And so if you can see them on up there, that owl with the honeycomb. And a lot of people don't know it because he was only made for one season. And when he was made, and so he's going to have his marking. I want to say it says made in the USA on the eyebrow, which if he's facing you, it's going to be the eyebrow on the left. And when you flip him back on over, he is not double-sided. And just a really neat piece. Very hard to find piece. I did see somebody selling him, didn't even know it was Beistle, and a lot of people don't. And so that some of these items are not sought after because people just don't know. So made in the USA, Beistle, only done one season, and just an awesome piece. I love it, and you can possibly find that real cheap somewhere. So I'll catch you guys later. I probably shot this video. I actually shot it for 18 minutes. So see you guys on the next video. Some of the next videos is going to be pulp, how to tell the difference from the reals from the fakes, as well as the German ones, because it's not just a flat bottom and this goes into also knotters and other things that are Germany that we don't really have information about, and how to actually tell what is real, what is questionable, and how to do that with the jack-o'-lantern pulps. So hopefully we'll get to see you on the next video, and come watch, and we can all learn something. So we will be doing pulp, and we'll be doing the reproductions, we'll be doing the real ones, and we will be doing we'll be going over the German ones, because the German ones will trick you where you're used to the you're used to the American ones, it doesn't have the correct bottom on them. So, we're going to go over that and just take a look at it and how to tell them apart. And which ones are the really hard and rare ones. So I hope to see you on the next video, and hopefully you come join us again. Thank you.